think we're live. Are we live, Jay?
We're live.
Emmy, we live?
We're live.
Welcome. Where is my camera? Is it there?
Yep, right
okay.
there.
So where am I supposed to look, director?
Boom.
I should look there as I talk?
No, you don't have to look there as you talk.
Because I've got Julio on. So big news, everybody, starting off the show. We tried to get the press release out. I don't think it ever officially got to the press. But the star of the pivot, Julio Quadra, otherwise known to households throughout America as the Juice, has COVID. His oldest son, Christian, also tested positive for COVID. But the Juice is with us via Zoom. Is that correct? People can see the Juice?
Here, I'm kicking it, man. I'm just,
Did they quarantine you in space, Juice?
I'm in outer space.
I think that's safe. I think that's a little safe. If I was going to quarantine, that's where I would quarantine too. That's pretty safe. You don't have a yacht that you can go out in the middle of the Mediterranean, so going to space is cool. Is your Wi-Fi working okay up there?
Yeah.
It is? You can hear us all right?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
How fast are you orbiting currently? It's crazy because it looks like you're standing still.
I mean, I am fairly slow orbit.
Nice. Okay, well, welcome back to the show, everybody who's listening and have watched. We've hit our record number of subscriptions. Excuse me, really appreciate it. I would like to start the show off by giving some shout-outs. As we were getting the show ready, Mark, the son of Julio's youngest son, the non-COVID son, as we now refer to him as, was giving some shout-outs. But shout-out to Brian, who walked in today. Brian Cunningham, he does all the works on the studio, does all the hard work on the physical part of the studio, does all the wiring stuff, because evidently in our producer contract, we didn't include that somehow. So thank you, Brian, once again. You got any shout-outs, Julio, you trying to give for the last show?
Shout out to the vaccine. Clearly it works. No, I don't have any shout-outs. I don't want to make it political, but
I want to shout out to
happy to be alive and, just happy to be on the show with you guys.
Emmy, welcome back. Thank you for coming back to week 2. We got some feedback that one of the members of the show may have been treating Emmy as a not smart blonde. I don't know that that's a fair accusation, but if that were the truth, I apologize, of course, Emmy. I enjoyed having you on. And we're going to have a segment here in a few minutes called Emmy's Observations, where she's going to share to us what she saw on Sunday. And I think that's going to be an amazing segment of the show. We'll look forward to that every week. So, Emmy, you're going to have to bring it hard. So let's start off with Hindsight 2020, week 1. To update just real quick, the Pivot fielded 3 teams in Ray's League. We all finished almost like 14th, 15th, and 18th. We were right points within each other. Completely different lineups. The show lineup took a sprint. The Murray Hopkins made us look like geniuses. Unfortunately, Cook and Derrick Henry didn't act like Cook or Derrick Henry that day. So what are your Hindsight 2020 on week 1, Julio?
It was I think in the industry it was a pretty rough week, by and large. But, if you would have told me last week that the 49ers-Lions game would have been the highest scoring game of the week, I would have called me nuts.
Was that not one of your 50-cent pieces?
No. It was a 77-point outcome. Browns and Chiefs was 62, Ravens-Raiders 60, and then the Jags-Texans was 58. So those were the 4 highest point-scoring games of the week. I think in hindsight, the thing I was most upset about with myself is that if you're ever going to play Patrick Mahomes, last week was probably the week to play it. He was low owned, the highest point total of the week going in. And he was Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill was Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce was Travis Kelce.
No, I ended up squeezing Hill into my Rays lineup. As you know, I was heavy Darnold, Terrence Marshall Jr. I wanted that cheap stack to build around. Gibson, we just suffered from season-long teams to daily fantasy teams. I just didn't get the touchdowns last week. I didn't get many touchdowns. Did you get many touchdowns, Jared?
No, not many. It was a rough week for me. It started out good. The first half of the day was great. Second half was painful.
As you guys will come to find out, Jared's entry into Ray's League is the show team, and the show team definitely finished the highest. and definitely it was top 3 for a lot of the day. And we we couldn't get the points, we couldn't get the touchdowns in the end. If
you know what happened was, I mean, and I don't think any of us foresaw this to happen, but Kyler Murray went off. He was our quarterback.
Yep.
Hopkins went off.
Yeah, no, that was a great pick. I thought the quarterback combo pick was great. It was low owned. It was not very highly owned.
But they went off in the first half, and Tennessee just pooped the bed.
Yeah.
So he completely took Derrick Henry out of the game. I mean, I think at one point in the first half, he had like 7 carries from 8 yards.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
He finished with like 58 yards total, and it was kind of in garbage time. So I think we were on the right. Sort of trajectory. It just the game just got out of hand, and I mean it happens. But I mean, I think look, it was 1 week. It's a long season. We move on, and here we're on week 2.
Yeah, I had the same experience with Darnold. Going into halftime, he had 19 fantasy points. So I think he finished with 18. I think he might have lost a point in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he did anything. My call of the week, Terrence Marshall Jr. got a bunch of red zone targets, but he just couldn't quite hook up with him. But Elijah Moore was terrible. That let a lot of people down in the industry. The other rookie receivers, though, were there. Jalen, Waddle, Chase. They all. Who's the one I'm not thinking? Chase, Waddle, Smith. They all got touchdowns.
Javonte Smith, yeah.
So, anyway, any final thoughts on hindsight of either one of you?
No, I mean, I would say this is let's not beat ourselves up. It's 1 week. It's the first week of the season. There's a lot of variance that happen, and that's fine.
I definitely am not beating myself up. I thought we had a good showing. I thought, like you said, we didn't do any. In Ray's League, the lowest score drops. I don't think that will even be our lowest score. I think it was a middle of the pack score for all 3 teams. And anyway, we're gonna hit the crab, as we like to call it. We're close to it. So with winding up hindsight 2020, I think we're gonna take it into our newest segment, and that's Emmy's Sunday observations. Emmy, my understanding is that you might have put in some work this weekend, and that you have some observations to share with us.
Well, to go off of what the Juice said, I will say that last week in the end of the podcast, I mentioned that I would put Patrick Mahomes on there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so one of us did call Mahomes.
Yeah, it was a good call.
Yeah.
Najee Harris, he had a pretty subpar first game, but he did play 100% offense.
Is that true?
Snaps, and so I think he'll have a good game this week.
He played every snap, Emmy?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I did not know that, by the way. Did you know that, Juice?
I did. And what's interesting is, we'll get into that, but Najee Harris is the highest projected owned running back this week.
That's
so,
awesome. That's
sharp
awesome.
observations by him.
Emmy, what else you got for us? You got anything else?
Matt Stafford, I think, will blow the brakes
Recording
off
in
the
progress.
Colts this weekend.
Wait, so that was Matt. Sorry, our YouTube there took over. That was that Matt Stafford's going to do what this weekend?
He is going to blow the brakes off the Colts this weekend.
Wow, I like that call. The Colts is a team that I always think of having a good defense, but they seem to give up a lot of fantasy points. Stafford looked good on Sunday night. Did you? So you watched that game with the boyfriend on Sunday night?
Yes.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. That's a good call. Anyway, we can get that off the screen.
Let me say something about that. It was Matt Stafford's highest QBR rating in his career. It was his first game with the Rams. I think that's pretty amazing.
So that's Emmy. I'm not just saying this. If anybody thinks I'm being facetious or insincere, that's their fault. Those are great. Thank you. Yeah, I learned some stuff there. We got Matt Stafford's going to smoke Indianapolis. Have you considered Matt Stafford as possibly a play this week, Julio in DFS?
I mean, I like Stafford. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks this week, so it's going to be interesting. I think we've got a lot of options this week.
So the thing with Stafford, just to play off that last observation before we fire up into the 50-cent pieces, who would you pair him with? If you do like Stafford against Indianapolis this week, that's a very stackable game, right? You got Kupp, you got Woods, you got this new kid Jefferson, you got Tyler Higbee who is catching some passes from Stafford. I mean, that's a very if you think that's a high-scoring game, then that's a very stackable game, correct?
It is, for sure.
I mean, I like that stack. I like a Matt Stafford with two Rams receivers running it back, Jonathan Taylor stack. What do you think about that?
It's in the cards for sure. I mean, we've got a lot of games to choose from this week, so I wouldn't fault you for throwing that stack out there.
So, to all the potential advertisers out there, the Emmy Observation weekly segment is for sale, right, Emmy? You're willing to allow a sponsor to sponsor that segment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have any preferences? Maybe some Lululemon if they wanted to get in on this or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm rocking the Athleta.
Yeah, I mean we'll get them in. What's that? Maybe what's that sporting goods store on 15th? Ascent or something?
Listen.
We can get some Patagonia gear out of this. I mean, she's a local legend, so if you guys want to sponsor that segment, we would love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's jump into this week. Julio, if nothing else, the feedback I got while in Las Vegas was the people loved the 50-cent piece. They loved you bringing that out here.
We go into the 50-cent piece, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hit up some music. I don't know. Let's find something. Let's try this.
So let's start off probably one of the highest owned games of the week, Cowboys Chargers, 55.5.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Very stackable game, but also going to be a very popular game. Chiefs and Ravens, 54.5. Titans Seahawks, 54. Falcons Bucks, 52. Vikes Cards, 50.5. And to round it out, the 49ers and the Eagles at 50.
I'm not, as you mentioned earlier, this is a family show, but holy crap, that's a lot of 50-cent pieces this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
What's the total on that?
What's that?
What's the total on? How many 50-cent pieces do we have?
We have 50, we have not 50. We have 6
We have 50-cent
pieces.
6? So, 6, and that is including, did you include Sunday night and Monday night on there?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw it in a different format, Matt, that would be half a dozen.
Okay, half a dozen, so.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Good directing, by the way. She's taking over. She really is. Emmy's going to take over this show, and this show's going to be much better. And by the way, we're working on getting Emmy a backdrop. Right now, Emmy, show yourself. It looks like she's in a cold jail cell, but we're working on that. Also, advertisers. There's your if you want to put your advertisement behind Emmy, we're all for that too.
It looks like Emmy's being quarantined right now for COVID.
Yeah. Anyway, so a lot of different games to choose from. I can be honest. The work week's been pretty busy. I got back from Vegas Monday night. I haven't looked and done. I built one lineup eating lunch at my favorite place, who should be a sponsor of the show, White River Fish Market. I've done one lineup, man, and so I've got Rays League open. I think the people can see the iPad when we use it this week, right?
Yep.
Jared, we haven't heard from you much. Sorry, I'm kind of here focusing on my man in space. But
My mind is just focused on making sure it works. I'll get out of there in a second.
Okay, real quick, there were 6 50-cent pieces, or as Julio mentioned, half a dozen.
That's a lot.
Did you see? You're pretty good at picking these games that produce a lot of points. So, where's the crab this week?
I really like what is it? The Raiders Pittsburgh game. I think is my favorite pick.
I do think the Raiders are a sneaky high production fantasy team, right?
I mean, Derek Carr threw for over 400 yards against the Ravens.
Right. So
I think it was funny though. After the game, they were interviewing him post game. I mean, it was awesome what he said. They were like, he said, my career is basically up here one week, and then crap the next week.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment of his career.
Yeah, a lot of up and downs.
That's kind of like my fantasy picking. If you want to be, I have to admit there was one point during the watching the games that I was singing that Julio is a fantasy genius when Hopkins and Murray were going off. So unfortunately, the song didn't reach its final conclusion, but I think this might be our week. Let's do it. Let's jump into it and build a lineup. You ready? Everybody ready to build a lineup?
Oh yeah.
Emmy, you ready?
I'm ready.
Nailed it. Let's go, Julio. Let's start talking quarterback, wide receiver combos that we're looking at for this week's play.
So right off the bat, Mahomes is the most expensive quarterback this week at 8,300.
That Baltimore defense doesn't scare anybody suddenly, huh?
I mean, if Derek Carr's going to throw for
400 yards, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just saying that, yeah, there's no reason to be concerned about that. And he's averaging 36 fantasy points right off the bat. That's pretty good. Murray, second own.
Here's the problem, though, is that you got Mahomes at 8,300, Tyreek Hill at 8,400, and then Travis Kelce at 8,500. So if you do that kind of stack, that's half your salary invested in 3 players.
Yeah, we did that. We did that kind of last week. We went real expensive on the threesome, and that's, when you do that, you need your cheap players to come. And unfortunately, Elijah Moore and Terrence Marshall Jr. did not come through. So, what are you thinking this week? Is there somebody in the mid range you're looking at? I mean, Emmy mentioned Matt Stafford at Indianapolis. He's 6,400. Jalen Hurts playing San Francisco is 6,500. The disappointing week 1 Ryan Tannehill 6,300. Everybody's just kind of priced right in the same range, other than obviously Mahomes, who I'm leaning towards. Obviously, I like Sam Darnold again because I have this fetish about Sam Darnold, Terrence Marshall Jr. I'm going to say it right now so we can get it on tape. Darnold will have a 5-touchdown game this year, and in that game, Terrence Marshall Jr. will have 2 of them.
It's going to happen at some point this year.
We clipped that? Okay, good.
Is that this week?
No, but some point. I think this week I like Herbert against Dallas with Keenan Allen.
We're kind of on the same page, man.
Running it back with my boy CD.
Here's the problem, though, is that they're going to.
You didn't want to let that wallow in the greatness of what was just said for a second?
No,
okay,
like
thanks.
it. He's the most popular quarterback this week.
Wow, I'm so good at this. That's why our T-shirts on the back say "I snort the chalk" right there. We just snorted it. Well, are we willing to snort it here?
Here's the problem: is that the highest projected players this week. So you got Herbert. Keenan Allen is the number 1 receiver this week.
My stack is.
CeeDee Lamb is the number 3 receiver this week. Amari Cooper is the number 5 receiver this week.
You get high?
I don't get high.
Okay. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. People do it.
I'm just saying. People do it. I just snorted all the chalk.
What about Tom Brady? Where is he up? Is he up there this week?
Where's Jonathan Taylor in that chalk snorting? Actually, I don't forget that. Keep going.
Okay, so the highest owned quarterbacks, and again, we talk about play who you want, but Herbert, Prescott are 1 and 2 in ownership this week.
Okay.
Fair.
Josh Allen is 3rd. Jalen Hurts is 4th. Kyler's 5th. Tom Brady is 6th. And then a guy who's kind of sneaky to me this week is Joe Burrow.
You know who's?
Burrow, huh?
I like Burrow. He looked a lot better than I gave him credit for going into week 1 on that knee. I don't love his matchup this week. I like Jameis Winston. If you want to do sneaky cheap stack, Jameis Winston, Callaway, rookie tight end is not a bad against Carolina's D.
I mean, another guy who
He didn't.
is kind of sneaky.
That was so good it blew his mind.
Another guy who's sneaky is Baker Mayfield at home against Houston.
That's not. I think that's gonna be the most popular play, tournament play. Like,
But he's projected to be 1.5%.
wow, is that who we're gonna roll with? Let's ask Jared. Who do you like, Jared?
So as far as stacks this week, something that I really like, I like Tom Brady against Atlanta a lot, but I also like the idea of playing Mike Evans after he just had a week where he put up a complete dud.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to own him. He's really cheap, and I think, it's very likely that he's going to have a bounce back week this week.
Yeah, he got some red zone targets too. He just didn't.
I think he dropped a couple balls, and he just was off on the day. But
Godwin just looks so good. Right?
He does.
He's
and
always open.
Everyone's going to probably play him and Antonio Brown because they both had great weeks, and I think it's.
I'm not playing
week.
Antonio Brown. I like CeeDee Lamb on this week. I think that's the Dallas offense. We're going to see people each one. I think Wilson will have some good weeks. I just think that's going to get it spread out a little more than people realize. It's too bad Gallup got hurt because he looked really good. I took Gallup over 3.5 receptions. We covered that one by the second quarter. That felt good. Okay, well, let's make a choice because.
What were you saying, Juice? I want to hear this.
I said I think the last name you just mentioned is kind of the guy I want to go because I think that is a game that's going to sneaky go under the radar and it's got as much chance as any to shoot out. and that's the Seattle Tennessee game. I think Russell's going to cook. I think what we saw last week is they realized last year he started out the year just remember everyone was Russell's cooking, let Russ cook. And then they went to the running game and they kind of fell out of the playoff race. I think they're not going to make that mistake again this year. And I think Russ is in a prime spot. I'm going to say this right now. I was just recently in Oxford, Mississippi this week, and I kind of think that a couple Ole Miss receivers could have big weeks in A.J. Brown and D.K. Metcalf. So, I don't know. I think that's kind of the stack I'm looking at right now.
I like it. I do like it. A.J. Brown did not get the amount of targets last week that I thought he would in a comeback. Like that surprise. I know he's been banged up a little bit. I like Wilson Metcalf a lot. I'm just talking here. We like it. A.J. Brown is going to be a lot of money. Is there an alternative run back to A.J. Brown that we could consider?
He's not. He's actually not a lot of money.
Oh, he's not?
No. But I'm trying to think here. Let's look. I feel like there's another receiver at Tennessee that did pretty well, or that's in a good spot.
Because Brown is still listed as questionable.
This feels like it could be possibly a Julio Jones type, man. I mean,
what was his targets like?
His targets were low, but I mean, same thing as with Mike Evans. I kind of agree with Juice here. Julio could be a pretty good sneaky play.
Who's that?
You're talking about Julio Jones, right, Juice?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had 6 targets last week, only cashed in 3 of them, but I don't really fear the Seattle defense so much.
He's almost as much as A.J. Brown, though. I would definitely rather go A.J., wouldn't you?
I think we could plug in A.J. Brown right now and then obviously pivot off to Julio later in the week if the reports come back not positive for A.J. Brown.
Sounds good. So right now, just for the people playing at home. Can they see what I'm doing?
It's up now.
Oh, it's up now? Cool. Okay, so thank you, Emmy. So right now we've got Wilson, A.J. Brown, Metcalf. Let's go jump over and start talking a little bit about the running back position. Obviously, McCaffrey was probably the best performance out of all the top-tier guys. Would you agree with that statement?
I mean, McCaffrey just did McCaffrey things, right? I mean, almost 100 yards rushing, almost 100 yards receiving. He blew up. I mean, he just does what he does. I don't know. I mean, 9,900 is a hefty price to pay. I think there are running backs in pretty favorable spots this week that we don't necessarily have to break the bank. One guy that I really like that's fairly cheap, and we're going to need to save some salary at some point, is the kid for Denver, Javonte Williams.
Oh, wow. Because Melvin Gordon had a long run.
Well, he had a long run, but that's all he had.
Yeah, he had 9 attempts. Yeah. Not a lot of work, but he did a lot with. I mean, really, he did most of it in one play. What Melvin Gordon did last week.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly right. He did it all in one play. And Javonte, I think he had 14 carries last week. That's what I want to see.
Right.
Going to be on the road to Jacksonville. I think he's going to get 4 carries this week. And we saw Jacksonville's defense is about as bad as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So
bad enough to where Trevor Lawrence has to throw the ball 50 times.
Let me say, there's a name that I really like this week. Chase Edmonds, 4,900 at home against Minnesota. Nothing that I saw from him last week made me think. I mean, he was a touchdown away from having a monster game.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Edmonds at 4,900, Julio?
I don't mind Edmonds at all. I think he's definitely in a good spot. Another guy that I really like that is not overly expensive this week is Nick Chubb. We talked about him last week.
He looked good last week too. He looks so good carrying the ball, does he not? Can we all agree on that? He just runs.
He looked good.
I have no problem throwing Nick Chubb in at 7,800. I think there's some cheap receivers that we could consider playing 2 of them in the flex and wide receiver if we need to. So if you like Chubb, I like Chubb against Houston.
I just like Chubb at home against Houston. I think Cleveland is going to win that game. So I don't know. I kind of got a little.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Hold on.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Wait.
No!
Okay. On past the joke, I got Chubb in the lineup. I put Chubb and Edmonds. I think if we're going to go expensive Chubb, that paying $4,900 for Edmonds, I just think it's a good spot. He catches too many passes. I also want to talk about Jonathan Taylor. He didn't score, but he was able to still score 17, 18 points. And the reason being is he caught a bunch of passes. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
That surprised me a little bit, right? Did that surprise anybody? How many targets he got from the air?
I have no idea.
You got it. Yeah, well, anybody got that?
Which one? Who is it?
Jonathan Taylor. How
right.
many receiving targets did he get? So what do you think of is Edmonds? Am I forcing Edmonds in, Julio, or are you giving the blessing on Edmonds?
I haven't. I really haven't thought too much about Edmonds, but let's look at it.
Let's keep him in and see if what we build with Edmonds in there. If we want to take him out later, I'm
Real quick, how many targets do you think Jonathan Taylor got?
8.
Yes, sir.
He got 7.
Okay, well it's one off.
Yeah, it was
That's
pretty
still a
close.
lot.
Here's the other thing, though. Naheem Hines got 8. So.
Yeah, he could easily got 15.
Yeah, but they're not. I'm not. I know you like Jonathan Taylor. He's a good player.
How can you not like Jonathan Taylor?
I also don't.
I'm not asking. By the way, I don't know why we're spending all this time with Jonathan Taylor. I don't like playing him. This isn't a week where I think Jonathan Taylor needs to be
against
playing.
the Rams and against his quarterback Stafford. I mean, I kind of I'm going to shy away from him a little bit.
Makes sense. So
Why don't we go to a defense right now and just kind of save a little?
you want to swing over to cheap defense? So who did we tout as our cheap defense last week? I can't remember.
Bills?
They pooped the bed.
Yeah.
They're not good.
It started out pretty well, and then it ended badly.
Okay, so we are not 1-0 on cheap defenses this year. I'm just telling you right now, almost 99% of the lineups I'm playing is rocking the Jets. Playing New England at the Jets. I just think this is a prime spot for a couple turnovers, maybe a pick 6 for Mac Jones here. He's not Tom Brady.
He's not Tom Brady. I thought he did all right. With his
I mean, he's a
first
good rookie
game.
quarterback, but I'm not. If you're going to give me $2,200 defense going up against a rookie quarterback on the road for the first time in the NFL, I'm on game. Are you game, Julio?
I'm game. I like that call quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm on. So I think we just pick the Jets and move on.
Thank you. Wow, I miss you, Julio. I want to say this one. This is the first show we've done with that chair empty, and it's a sad thing. I
picked the wrong week. We quit sniffing glue.
Real fast on Mac Jones, he didn't throw an interception or have a fumble in the game. There's no turnovers.
understand.
from
So
Mac
that means he's
Jones.
due.
He's I mean, maybe he's kind of like a.
So you have him for what?
conservative
35 touchdowns, 0 turnovers this year.
I'm not saying 0 turnovers, but I don't think it's going to be as lucrative as you might hope.
So okay, sorry, we didn't move. We moved on without Jared's opinion on cheap defense. Jared, the floor is yours. Cheap defense.
I mean, at first glance, I'd probably go. I'd probably just go all the way down to the Texans. I don't think.
You have no reason to keep the Jets, Texans at Cleveland. You think Baker Mayfield?
Yeah,
may
I think he's gonna just. I think this might be his week where he throws more interceptions than touchdowns.
Wow. But bad week to quit sniffing glue.
But Juice is the DeFi whisperer. I mean, not the DeFi, the defense whisperer. So I mean, if he says
cheap defense whisperer, I'm gonna put the Jets in.
Yeah, if he says Jets, I'd go Jets.
Okay, well,
I'm going to defer to Matt this week. I like the Jets, and I'm going to give him the credit on this call. I do like the Jets.
that's the defer to Matt music. So, okay, well, that gives us a chance. You want to work before? Let's go wide receiver, then we'll talk tight. Or do you want to go tight end first? Next, talk.
We'll go tight end.
Okay.
All right, I have someone on tight end.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was ready for tight end.
I mean, it's a clear option, but I want you to guess how many targets Darren Waller had last week.
Like 20.
He had 19 targets last week. It was ridiculous. Every single time Derek Carr backed up, the first person he looked at was Darren Waller every single time.
We might be able to squeeze him in here.
And they're playing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is not great against tight ends, so, I mean, even though he's the most expensive tight end
He's not
on the slate.
Not even close to the most expensive tight end on the slate.
Well, I guess I'm looking at the main slate.
Correct, but you do a show about the that includes the Sunday night game and the Monday night game.
Right. So who's right ahead of him?
Kelsey,
Kelsey, right? Okay,
8,500.
So,
Waller 7,600.
So he's the second most expensive.
Man, if we
If
could
you're not in the
squeeze
main
Waller
slate.
in, I'd play Waller. I think we'd be playing some really cheap wide receivers to do that. What do you think, Juice?
I mean, it's hard to argue against Kelsey or Waller, but they're so expensive. I mean, everything Jared said is right. A guy that I really liked this past week, I like going into the season, but T.J. Hawkinson, man. I mean,
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah.
10 targets, 8 catches, 97 yards, touchdown against San Francisco.
Yeah. I also like Gronk this week. 4,700 against Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get 2 touchdowns again, but I mean,
I think Evans is going to clip some of those touchdowns this week, right?
Yeah,
Mike Evans? Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, Gerald Everett looked good with Seattle.
Yeah, I did like Everett. He would make
He
sense.
only got 2 targets though, so that kind of, I don't know.
He only got how many?
2.
Oh, yeah.
So, another guy that's cheap that I like, we can get a little exposure to this game, is Dallas Schultz from Dallas.
Okay.
$3,300. I mean, that's some good potential value right there. We do need to save a little bit of salary.
No, we do.
I mean, I like him for $3,200.
What about Manhurts for the men? The $3,000 Manhurts for Jacksonville. He got a nice touchdown. He looks like a man child out there. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he got 1 target.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on past him.
It looked like a man child on the target.
Hold on one second. If I'm going to bring up guys who got 1 target, hey, Emmy, you got anything on the tight end field here? This is hard to sort out.
I don't think so. Not on the
Yeah, tight end's a tough field, so we're going to move back. Give me a tight end, Julio. This is a tough
I
one.
like Dallas Schultz. I want to get some exposure to that game, and I think Schultz is going to be one of those guys that's not going to be very highly owned. And I could see him getting 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. And if we get that, man, I mean, I'm loving life.
I'm good with Schultz. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. That's the afternoon game. I think that's what do you think? You like it, Jared?
Yeah. I mean, for cheap tight end, yeah.
Okay. Well, that leaves us 4,900 going into the flex and the wide receiver position. Let's go first with the flex since we have the option of going back to the running back group or the wide receiver group or the tight end group if we get really fancy. Man, as I roll down here, I'm just wanting more of that Houston-Cleveland game almost. I like Landry at 6,300 a little bit. I just think he's going to get massive volume this week. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I love your boy Brandon Cooks this week.
Okay, that's a great. I mean, he's literally the only thing they have. Literally, right? Did he even get a touchdown and he got 21 points?
No, he had 7 targets with 5 catches for 132 yards. I just like him. If we're gonna play some Cleveland guys, I definitely don't mind him. He fits sort of the build.
I like it. Do you want him in the wide receiver spot or do you want him in the flex spot?
Let's keep looking and see if there's anyone down below. I mean, Jamar Chase looked good at 5,000. You know, he's someone that
Jamar Chase looked great. Jamar Chase at 5,000 is a steal this week.
Yeah.
He's not going to be. You can get $5,000. Unfortunately, with Cooks, it only leaves us with 3,900.
Yeah. KJ Hamler, I think, is in line for some more production now that Jerry Judy's out.
Yeah.
So, I don't mind him, but we've got the running back, so I don't know. I guess probably no. I'm just trying to see if there's any sort of cheap guys that we can look at.
I like the guy you said before. Who was that wouldn't fit? If we need to make.
So just for reference, so we saw that Jerry Jeudy went down this week, and a lot of people are on Hamler now. But I mean, Tim Patrick got the same amount of targets.
I like Tim
as Hamler
Patrick,
did.
and he always scores touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
How much is Patrick this week?
He's 4,600.
So he's more expensive than Hamler.
Well, we still have Edmonds in the lineup that we said that we could move down. I'm also willing to try to get off A.J. Brown for like a Ferkster or something.
Or Mike Evans.
A.J. Brown is a pretty expensive run back if we're just looking to change things up a little bit. I like the build. I'm just saying might we might be able to go more mid-range in the wide receiver because there's a few of them.
Can we go over the build right now just make sure we're all on the same page?
Sure.
We got in.
Here's who I've got in. I've got Wilson, Chubb, Edmonds, A.J. Brown, Metcalf, Schultz, Cooks at the flex, Jets D.
I think I'd rather put Cooks at the wide receiver.
Okay. I was trying him at both. It didn't seem to free up anything at either.
Are we absolutely sold on Edmonds?
No. That's what I said. We could go if there was but we'd have to go cheaper, likely, right?
Yeah.
Is there cheaper than Edmonds this week that we?
Talked about Javonte Williams for Denver.
Let's see what.
So I'm gonna say his name again, Mike Evans. I need you guys to tell me why you don't like him. If we don't want, you're not even entertaining the idea to put him in the lineup.
I'm entertaining. I think that I'm worried about target share.
Target share.
Yeah, you know what that is? It's where
I know what
other
that
people
is.
on his team get a lot more targets than he gets.
I understand what that is.
So,
I feel like Mike Evans is gonna have a great week, and I'm at the point where I want to force him into this lineup
because he did. This is his lineup, so this is the show lineup.
Yeah, this is the one I'm entering into the
tournament.
tournament.
He has to enter, so he's gonna.
And I like Mike Evans a lot.
Okay, you like him better than Brandon Cooks, right?
I like Brandon Cooks. I think I like him better than A.J. Brown, honestly.
A.J. Brown's the one I'm hesitant about, and the only reason is I think he's banged up. He just hasn't looked like himself yet. When he's healthy, nobody can.
And I think Derrick Henry's going to get most of the points this week.
No, I'm not doing Henry again. I can't do this.
I'm not doing Henry. I'm good with no Henry. I told him he has permission to adjust the show lineup however he wants after we take off the air. So, that's up to him. That if he wants to, he's the one who put the voodoo that the show lineup is always the highest scoring, and it seems to work most weeks. So
it's worked. I mean, this is the first season we've done it, so it's worked one time so far.
So give me somebody on the on Tennessee that might be a good run back.
Julio Jones.
How about Rodgers?
Chester Rogers?
Yeah. How many targets did Chester Rogers have?
No, there's a running back that we're not talking about also at all that quietly was like the toast of the week last week, and that's Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned him.
5,000, they're going on the road against Philly. I mean, I don't know. I liked what I saw from that kid.
I did too.
Chester Rogers is 3,200. He scored 10 fantasy points, and I think he got 6 or 7 targets last week, right?
Chester Rogers?
Yeah.
Look, hold on. I'll look.
I like this build. We're about to put. I think we just talked out some magic. I've got Wilson, Chubb, Williams, Evans, Metcalf, Rogers, Schultz, and 7,900 at the flex spot. So we can go.
Chester Rogers has had 6 targets last week.
That's not bad though for 3,200.
Yeah, for 3. That's good. That's great.
Right?
That's still, yeah.
We got Abe Brown banged up. I like it. I like Rogers as the run back. I think we just lucked into some fantasy genius.
So wait, who are we saying at the flex? Elijah
Right.
Moore?
No, Elijah Moore. Okay, here's what I got. Let's go over it real quick. Hopefully you can see it on the stream. Wilson at the quarterback spot. Chubb, your call of Jamal Williams, who I like it against Jacksonville. Evans, producer that we're giving him he gets like 5 of these a year, Julio, where he can just force somebody in. Okay, so cross one off the list because he's down to 4. Metcalf, Rogers, that's mine. I'm going to take responsibility for him this week. Schultz and Jets D with 7,900 in the flex. So we could play Diggs, we could play Waller, we could mess around and get Hopkins or Adams in there if we wanted to. I like it. I think Rogers.
Who's the third wide receiver? I've got Metcalf, Rogers, who else?
Evans.
Mike Evans?
Yeah, what are we calling that? The producer.
That's the.
What's the thing in golf when you didn't actually qualify, but they let you in anyway?
I don't know why my brain's. I can't think of the
sponsor
word.
exemption.
Yeah. Okay. Sponsor exemption.
So Mike Evans is getting a producer exemption this week. We're on week 2 and he's going to use one here. So I think he's down to 2 actually. I said 5, but I lower him to 3.
I'm gonna keep 5.
Okay. So
I'm gonna keep that.
Keep that number.
I'm gonna keep those 5.
I like it.
And did we decide that we wanted to go with Mitchell over Evans? I mean, I like that better than if we got 76 or 7,400 left over. I think Mitchell would be better than Chase Edmonds.
We kicked Edmonds out. And we went Williams.
Oh, Williams. Okay.
Correct, Julio?
I can agree with Mitchell over Williams.
Who's Mitchell's matchup?
On the road against Philly.
I think he's going to get more carries. That leaves us.
The only thing that makes me nervous about Mitchell is that coach. I mean, you didn't hear anything about Trey Sermon not playing at all, and like out of the blue, Trey Sermon was like a healthy scratch.
Believe me, I was. You know who I was. Spent the weekend with. Some San Francisco fans found that shocking. That right.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was like, why? What? Like they drafted this kid in the 4th round, and like, I don't know, it was weird. So, I mean, I almost wonder if like, is Trey Sermon going to be the dude this week?
No, I think we're overthinking it. I don't think Trey Sermon's that good, by the way. As somebody who is an OU fan, that's where he started off. He had some great games, but he gets banged up really easily. He's had feet problem his whole career. He's not that fast. I bet Elijah Mitchell's exceptionally much more faster than him. Anyway, that's my take. I just don't think I don't think Sermon is that great. They didn't take him to come in and just be their featured back. Like he's so I like Mitchell. I think Mitchell will get more carries than Williams.
Yeah, I like Mitchell.
I like Williams. I like both matchups, so I don't have any issue with that. I also like the fact that this leaves in the flex, we could do the double stack. We could bring Lockett into this lineup if we wanted to go Metcalf and Lockett.
I don't like both.
You don't like both?
But who I do like this week is Keenan Allen at 7K.
We can definitely do Keenan Allen and get more exposure to that Dallas game.
Yeah, and then because I do like that game a lot. And then so we've got Schultz and Keenan Allen in that game.
Yeah, I like that. I like that run back. Yeah, I like this lineup a lot. Again, this wouldn't be a lineup I'd necessarily.
Let me ask you this: would you rather have Mitchell and Allen, or Waller and Williams?
I'd go Waller and Williams. That's me, though. I think Waller's going to get more targets than Allen.
Yeah, I like Waller a lot.
Because that I think if we do that,
I would prefer that, actually. That was what I was looking at when we had Williams in. You okay with that, producer?
Yeah, I definitely want some exposure to Waller.
I think that's perfect. I like it. You got it? You've got it down there, producer?
And then who's at our flex?
Waller.
I must have did something wrong.
Let's put in Waller at the tight end.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That way we can play with the flex.
Like at 3,600 what that
Yeah, that's a good spot. That's a genius. Got it. Wow. I can't. What's Julio when I'm just really impressed with Julio button? I don't know. I'm just gonna press this button.
There you go. It's perfect.
You know what we call that?
What do we call that?
The COVID call of the day.
The COVID call of the day.
Bringing us live. I should probably take time, real quick to mention, because sorry about this. We are brought to you by Vast Crypto, and at some point behind me, we'll have a lovely Vast Crypto emblem hanging. We are executively produced by Toby Biocchini. Toby, if you're listening to the show, promise that will be at the start. We had a little bit technical difficulties. But yeah, Vast is killing it. Anyway, that was genius, Julio. That was the Vast Bank Crypto call of the day.
Vast Bank Crypto call of the day. I like it.
Our Vast Crypto.
We got Matt in the chat. What's up, fellas?
Hey, Matt. I need Matt. We're going to give Matt a job with the show. Matt, you're getting a job. You're going to be in charge of our Facebook account. Maybe our whole social media. So I think you have my number, Matt. You need to give me a call here in an hour or so. I'm being serious. We have a role for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put Waller in it. So we put Waller in at the tight end.
Yep.
This gives us a chance to just kind of play with what's at the 3,600 position. Julio, do you see anything that's just eye-popping? We got tight ends. We got Berrios. We got T. Johnson. We got Paris Campbell. We got Everett, Knox. I think we got Elijah Moore, who probably will be low on Jefferson, who had a good week one. What are you thinking?
I was hoping there'd be more than this, honestly, but there's really not.
Let's just real quick. So we have how much? We have 36.
Yeah.
Does 3,800 open up anything that we love? That would give us Hamler if we wanted to try to get Hamler.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we could go down to Houston D if we wanted to save up that 200.
Yeah, I just honestly, this guy I kind of like. Is Brian Edwards from the Raiders, dude? I mean.
Oh yeah, I like Edwards.
What? How much is Edwards?
It's 3,700. Just a little bit more than what we have, but I mean, they love this kid in Vegas.
How did he look? I didn't get this chance to see all of them.
He didn't get a single target until the fourth quarter, but whenever he finally got his targets, he caught every single one.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I like him a lot, just long term. Just fantasy aside, I think he's going to be a really good player, and they're really high on him for a lot of reasons. But
do we like Edwards or Schultz better this week? So it's going to be Edwards Houston D or Schultz Jets D.
I mean, he got 5 targets. Again, they were sort of at the end of the game.
Find out what Schultz did for targets.
He had 6.
He had 6. Let's go Schultz. I like Schultz. What do you guys think?
I mean, they really do like Edwards. I don't know why he didn't get a target until the fourth quarter. I think it was kind of fluky, honestly.
I'm looking at Schultz versus Edwards. We have 2 guys. One, Schultz beat him in targets. Edwards didn't come on until the fourth quarter. I think we have a much more high-scoring game in Dallas Chargers on that afternoon slate than Pittsburgh Vegas. I could see Pittsburgh Vegas going off at like 17-13.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, Pittsburgh and Las Vegas.
Okay, we agree to disagree on that one. What do you think? So our options are we stay with the Jets D and we go Schultz, Waller, or we move down to like Houston's D and we go Edwards, Waller. Thoughts to finish the lineup?
I just thought about this. I mean, we have Edwards and Waller from Vegas. I don't know if we necessarily need 2 Vegas guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So
Let's go Schultz. I like Schultz.
I think Schultz gives us a higher sort of floor.
I think Schultz very likely gets a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, I do too. I could see, like I said, I could see 5 for 50 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Schultz. And at 3,300, I would be more than happy with that.
Okay, so let's just, since we're doing our jobs, the 300 could be used on defense. It frees up the Dolphins playing Buffalo. I don't love that matchup. Indianapolis Colts playing the Rams. That's a tough matchup. Philadelphia playing San Francisco. Dallas playing the Chargers. Jags playing Denver. And the Jets. I kind of like the Jets still. Does anybody disagree?
No.
I like the Jets.
Okay, so we're going to have a little bit left over. That leaves us 300. Just real quickly, I like to check everything. Running back Jamal Williams, there's no real good step up from him for $300. Yeah, I don't see any step ups anywhere that. Anyway, I like the lineup. Do you guys like it?
Yeah.
You guys
I like it.
Julio, can you live with the Rodgers pick?
Yeah, I can live with the Rodgers pick.
I think it's. I mean, he really did get it. I mean, for 3,200, he's already proven he can score double digits, and he got enough targets that if he gets a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, if for some reason if A.J. Brown sits, I mean, Rodgers probably would be like a really popular play this week.
Yeah.
So,
we kind of dug in here. We were a little thrown off due to some technical difficulties. We didn't really talk about any lock and loads. So instead of doing lock and loads, we will. The producers here are going to kill me with my arm. Are we good now?
Can't see anything?
Uh-oh. We, as we conclude, Julio,
But Matt is talking about Wilson from Dallas because Gallup is out.
Oh, okay. I like it, Matt. Good call. How much is he? Do we know?
he is 3,100. Wilson.
He's how much? 31?
Yeah.
That's almost free. Do we like? What do you think? That's not bad, Matt. It's, Unfortunately, we're using our cheap receiver to pair with our quarterback, so Rodgers that might not be an option for us that week. But I do like that play. It's a good call.
You could potentially throw in Wilson instead of Dallas Schultz if you thought, if you think that he's going to get more production.
Correct. Yeah. That's a good point. I like that. That's definitely a good pivot off Schultz, and it's a good option. Matt, I appreciate your participation in the show and always listening as our future Facebook director. Okay, so since we didn't do lock and loads like we usually do, how about I'm going to go around the room, best cheap play of the week. Emmy, if you're listening, in the future, this is where your boyfriend can definitely add in is if he has a fantasy player that he thinks is cheap that he likes and one that he's going to score the most points.
I'll get on it.
Thank you. You're the best in the business. Jared, favorite cheap play of the week?
Because I like the game so much, I'd probably say Bryan Edwards.
Okay. You said that name, and boy, he jumped on it like I don't even know what analogy to use, but boy, you like that.
Yeah, I like Bryan Edwards. I mean, I watched that whole game, and I liked everything I saw about him.
Even the first three quarters?
Once I got to see him, I loved it.
Okay.
And I don't think, like I said, I think it was fluky that he didn't get a target before that, because whenever the game was on the line, this is the dude they threw it to over and over and over again, like 4 times in a row.
When they stopped throwing it to Waller 20 times?
Yeah, they stopped throwing it to Waller 20 times, and they threw it to Bryan Edwards 5 times.
Okay. I like Bryan Edwards. He doesn't make much sense in the show lineup because he negatively correlates with Waller, but I do like it as a cheap play. Julio, you got a cheap play for me? Or let me go real quick. I don't know who my cheap play. I'm going to steal Matt's. No, that's not fair. That was Matt's. Wilson was Matt's. Let me look here. How much is Waddle this week?
He's 4,500.
Do we consider that a cheap play?
Yeah, that's cheap.
Okay. I'm going to take Waddle. I think Waddle's going to probably have 10 touchdowns this year.
Will Fuller's back this week.
I'm going to still take Waddle. Thank you. I appreciate that information. I also, I'm going to sneak too, I like Patrick to score another touchdown at Jacksonville. So gave you 2 options. What about you, Julio? What you looking at?
I like our boy Javonte Williams. 14 carries for, granted the yards were down, but Jacksonville's defense is putrid. I think Denver's gonna win this game pretty convincingly, and I see Denver giving him the rock, man. I see them giving him the carries, get him going. I think long term, Javonte Williams is their dude. We know who Melvin Gordon is. Javonte Williams, they drafted him high for a reason, and I think they're gonna feed him the rock, man. I love Williams this week at home against on the road against Jacksonville.
Okay, I like it. Emmy, next week, hopefully you're going to give us a cheap play of the week, okay?
Are we saying cheat?
Cheap. Like in the fantasy industry, these players cost money, so he's going to be one that costs less. Somebody dark horse, maybe a dark horse pick of the week, think fantasy stud that people aren't thinking about kind of thing.
Got it.
We'll look forward to that. We're going to add that,
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know. I hate calling it beast of the week or whatever because I hear that reference in the industry often.
We're calling it the lock and load of the week, right?
Well, lock and load means we're playing them in every lineup, and we've already done our lineup, so it may not be the same. But best play of the week, total point producer, where you think the most points are coming from. Emmy gave us Patrick Mahomes last week. She nailed it. I can't remember who I think I went did I go Jonathan Taylor maybe? I can't remember where I went. Anyway, usually as the show goes on and we get back to our normal format, we'll be cutting up some of this sound and playing it as pregame. Julio, we're going to start with we're going to save the end. Jared, top play of the week.
Mike Evans.
Wow, really?
Yep.
This guy's like a dog on a bone with this. Like he won't he loves him. So Mike Evans and Bryan Edwards are Cuz, who's probably listening, he's firing them at you this week.
Mike Evans is going to score 2 touchdowns at least this week.
Two.
2 touchdowns, and that's going to be we're going to be able to use that in the future. Because that's what's going to happen.
Lord Jared has proclamated that Mike Evans will have 2 touchdowns this week. I'm going to go. Oh, Emmy, you did really good with Patrick Mahomes. I think you can get a best player of the week, right? You got a favorite. Who's your favorite player this week?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yes. Great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's not a terrible pick. I like it. Okay. Juice, are you ready?
I'm ready, man. I mean, Jared said went for the 2. I'm going with the 3 goggles.
Nice.
3 touchdowns. Oh, yeah. Nick Chubb on the ground.
I do like
All
Nick
right.
Chubb. That's a good call. I think he's a good call this week. Well, that's great, guys. This was a fun show. I apologize to everybody for the technical difficulties, including Emmy, including Julio, including myself, including Jared. It's frustrating. We're doing our best. This is fun. The studio looks great. I like the team we put together here. Unfortunate for Julio to have COVID and not in studio, but I liked the Zoom. Jared got the Zoom up and going. It's just impressive. Let's hope for a better performance in Rays League. I learned some things. I've got a lineup that I'm kind of thinking over after listening to you guys for Rays League that I'll be firing. That's a little bit different, but it plays a lot off what we said today. Julio, you seen some builds for Rays League for your lineup that you?
Yeah. This helped me out a lot today. Just talking through a lot of different plays. I mean,
right now, just real quick before we go, because I like to do this off the cuff. You gave us Wilson, Metcalf. What's your plan B receiver, wide receiver, quarterback combo? What's your plan B?
I'll probably go right back to Kyler this week, man. I mean, that guy looked like the best quarterback in the league last week.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm kind of itching towards Baker. I think you guys might have convinced me Baker is a good place.
I mean, Kyler blew up last week. He had probably 50 yards on the ground. He got called back because of penalties. He looked so good. I mean,
he did.
He looked like the game was completely slowed down for him.
Good. I love Kyler Murray. He's my favorite player I've ever watched play live next to Barry Sanders. Well, good, man. I'm going to kick off. I'm going to take us out. We didn't get the intro music to bring us in. Best of luck to everybody in your DK DFS competitions this week. Julio, hope you feel better. Hope Christian feels better. Shout out to Mark and all his boys and the guy that got second place in his tennis tournament. Thank you, Emmy, for being here and your patience as we tried to get everything going. Thank you, Jared, for getting everything going. Thank you, Brian, for making the studio look great. I think we're out.
Yep, that's it. See you guys next week.
Everybody, see y'all.